I'm bored. Let's watch Nerdrotic. All right, so the title of this video is Numbers Don't Lie. Variety's delusional franchise report is Hollywood gaslighting. These titles for these videos, numbers don't lie. So I wonder if you guys are going to be able to understand the numbers that are presented in front of you in this article that you're going to be reading. I'm just wondering, because the numbers may not lie, but you guys do. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Variety just where Hollywood's biggest film franchises stand, Marvel's diminished, DC rising, and everyone is excited about James Bond. What? This is, they are trying to manifest something that is just not true.
Oh,
that's Variety in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah. Ever since James...
I just want to, sorry, I read the first sentence. I already want to die ever since Luke Skywalker flicked on his father's lightsaber.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Who's the writer for this?
I mean, we could ask the same question about your thumbnails and titles, right? Who wrote this shit?
Adam Berry.
Male feminist.
Yeah. Ever since James Bond fired his Walther PPK and stuff, and Luke Skywalker flipped on his father's lightsaber. Oh, wait, I should do it.
Nothing says secure in your masculinity like doing a gay voice for a random person that writes an article. Yeah, that's whenever I hear that, I'm thinking like, are you guys not secure in your manhood? Are you worried that somebody's going to pull your man card if you don't do this? Is there some secret society where if someone is a writer of an article and that person is not 100% toxically masculine, that you have to do the gay voice for it? I wonder if that's like a mandate or something.
Like, oh my God.
I wish I could just like prompt the image for it, but you know, the Sly Glazer thing in Inglourious Bastards saying flipped on a father's light. It's like, have you seen Star Wars?
Why are you so hung up on that?
I don't think you have.
Franchises have been the cornerstone of movie business. But as theaters still struggle and stuff to return to pre-pandemic revenues and
too masculine.
Such, I'm going to try to get it up a little more as...
Oh, God.
That's what she said.
Reaching levels unknown to man.
How film studios...
I can't do my gay list with my fucking Invisalign on. Sorry.
How film studios are managing their crown jewel franchises, most of which are multiple decades old.
I can't keep doing that. So, okay, for one, let's go back to pre-pandemic revenues.
Mm-hmm.
You see this a lot.
Yeah.
They haven't recovered from the strikes. They would have been recovered from the pandemic by now if, hey, they made something good.
No. See, the reason why they use pre-pandemic as the metric is because there was never a full recovery between the pandemic and the strikes. Hollywood never fully recovered. So it's much easier from a business standpoint to just speak in things like pre-pandemic as like the metric, because there was never a full recovery. So they've been limping since the pandemic. And even though they came up a little bit, the strikes kind of beat them back down to those same like pandemic numbers. So they've never fully recovered. There's no reason to deny that the pandemic affected Hollywood. It's not really some big conspiracy theory. We all knew that it was happening. So this little, like, these guys get triggered anytime you mention COVID era when it comes to entertainment. They get triggered by it because they want to believe that Hollywood's decline has just been this organic thing that wasn't manipulated by any outside sources. But the reality is it was, and it has been. And yes, the strikes were another big hit to Hollywood, but COVID was the thing that started it all in terms of like the major decline in theaters seeing revenue and studios seeing these big blockbuster numbers. There are outliers, but outliers are not the averages. So that's why they speak like pre-pandemic is the way they use it. In terms of like gauging where we are in Hollywood.
And B, they didn't shut down their fucking industry for half a fucking year. So you haven't returned to pre-strike totals.
Which are an extension of the pre-COVID totals. It's all an extension. But we'll get there. The reason they don't bring that up is because they don't want to make the unions look bad. By the way, the Film Actors Guild has a new president, and it's Sean Astin. It's Samwise Gamgee.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, he's a little commie. How film studios are managing their crown jewel franchises, most of which are multiple decades old, has come under greater scrutiny than ever. It's not, oh, that's amazing. When did the scrutiny start happening from you? Last 6 months?
So now we're doing this hipster thing like it was cool when I was doing it. But now that you guys are doing it, now I'm going to be sarcastic towards you, even though now I think they believe that they're on the same page. Like these guys think that Variety and them are on the same page. They're not, but you're acting as if like, because I was hating on studios and franchises a decade ago. Now, anyone else that comes along, I'm going to be the hipster in this. That's what you're doing here. It's like teenage mindset bullshit. It really is.
It's not why anyone wanted to be in this business to make the 12th version of something, says one veteran studio executive who probably signed off on many of those 12th versions of something. With that tension in mind, Variety has launched its first ever franchise scorecard to assess the overall health of 8 of the biggest movie brands. We looked at several key factors.
Okay.
First, to gauge audience interest, we compared the domestic and global box office. I'm already getting bored of this. Iterations.
Why? Why are you bored of this? Isn't this what you guys do? This is your shit, right? Like going through and pedantically looking at box office numbers, global, domestic, audience reactions, interviews. This is your business model. Why would this be boring to you? That doesn't make sense to me, like at all. Like, it's not about the entertainment, because these guys don't give a fuck about entertainment. So this is their thing. This is what you love. You love numbers. You love charts. You love graphs. I think. Maybe you just don't love reality. Maybe you don't actually love facts. Maybe it's always been feelings over facts for you. I'm saying that facetiously because it has.
Of each franchise, with that franchise's historic average, starting from 2010 minus the pandemic years.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, we also factored in how well the latest films performed in comparison with the overall with the overall performance of the respective years, not counting the pandemic years. They using data provided by ComScore, for example, 2025 box office is down.
Of course, Az finds this boring because he's got the mentality of like a kindergartner. So big words don't work for him. If he's not screaming about pronouns, he doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about. So none of this resonates for him at all.
17.4% domestically and 10.
Okay, I don't know why this is confusing for these guys, right? They're talking about the period of time that they were looking at the numbers and what they were excluding due to COVID, like what they were deciding not to count because those aren't averages, those are outliers. So that's what they're doing here. They're telling you what the baseline is for this system they're going to be using. It's very simple.
0.5 globally against the 2010 to 2024 range, which is mostly dominated by 2010 to 2019. They need to mention. Second, to measure cost effectiveness, we looked at how the most recent iterations have improved on their production budgets after reaching break even, roughly double global grosses. Finally, we asked nearly 24 industry professionals, from executives to agent to filmmakers, to score each franchise on a scale of 1 to 10. So we're going to ask people who worked on this stuff to score themselves.
No, they're going to be scoring each other. That's how it typically works. You invite people in to do the scoring who understand the franchises. They understand the numbers. They understand Hollywood. They wouldn't invite you guys in because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I know you'd like to be there. You'd love to be in that room scoring these things, but they don't give a fuck about you. So they invite other people to score each other, which, by the way, this is a thing that Variety's doing. This isn't some industry thing that's been mandated or some committee that's being formed. It literally is just something that Variety's doing. So they can choose to do this however they want. But I would say asking the industry professionals to come in and score each other is probably a pretty sound way to go about it, instead of just inviting in like podcast bros.
Yeah.
On 3 metrics, see the chart below: creative health, commercial potential, and saturation in the marketplace, which could include other expressions of the franchise like TV shows and theme parks. The results make clear that while some franchises appear stronger than others, all have at least some room for improvement. So what the fuck?
I mean, that's a fair statement. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? Are you really this dumb? Are you really this dumb? All right.
What is this? Like, what?
Shut your fucking mouth.
What the fuck?
It's literally a graph. Have these guys never seen graphs before? Do they not know how they work? I mean, I'm asking the question knowing the answer is probably yes, they have seen them, and no, they don't know how they work. That's my assessment. Okay.
Oh my God.
Fuck me.
The MCU. Hey, after all that study, they've figured out it's down.
Congrats.
After Variety reported 3 times with each 3 of these movies that they soared to good to great openings.
They did. Yes, because they were counting just the opening weekends. Fantastic Four had a great domestic opening weekend. Thunderbolts had the weakest opening, but it still wasn't awful. Like, it wasn't awful. It was a good opening for what you could call like a brand new team film, which the marketing on that, we could get into that. I'm not going to get into that here because that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, those movies, their openings weren't awful. Fantastic Four, extremely good. Captain America, pretty good. Thunderbolts, just okay. But they were just the opening weekends. So why would they not report that? Do you want them to put a report out and lie and say the weekends were awful? So you just want them to lie, I guess?
Congrats.
Marvel released 3 films this year that all dramatically underperformed compared with their predecessors and barely eked out a profit. They lost money. Where did they eke out a profit?
They didn't lose money. First of all, Fantastic Four just crossed, I think it's 519 million recently, and it's going to be going to VOD and Blu-ray and within the next couple of weeks, I think. And then VOD in the next couple of weeks, or the next week, and then Blu-ray in the next couple of weeks, I guess. No, the only movie out of the 3 that hasn't turned a profit at the box office specifically because of ROI is Captain America: Brave New World. Thunderbolts ROI looks good, and I'm assuming Fantastic Four is going to be good as well, since it did the best of the 3 and had a similar estimated budget, which, by the way, I can't think of a single time in recent years where the studio has publicly released a budget, an exact budget with a full breakdown. I can't remember the last time that happened. Now, we know James Gunn came out and gave his confirmation about the budget of Superman, but that's still not the studio, and that's still an estimated budget. If you read any of these articles, whether it be Variety or Deadline or Hollywood Reporter, everything is estimated, and all of them come from like an analyst, an insider, somebody close to the studio. The studios themselves don't release those numbers. We wouldn't even see those numbers in SEC filings, Security Exchange filings. We wouldn't even see those numbers because they don't evaluate movies' budgets individually the way that these guys think they do. If you look at financial reports, the companies that release them, whatever quarter it is they're releasing, they include everything together. All of it's together. And Disney actually had a uptick in the financial report from the quarter that Captain America: Brave New World came out in. I don't remember the exact number, but it was higher than 2024 in the same quarter. So they actually had a higher SEC filing in that quarter in 2025 compared to 2024. That's how they look at these things. They don't look at them as individual projects. Everything is an umbrella with Disney. It all falls under the Disney umbrella. I've talked about this many times. So as long as the company as a whole is making money, the only thing they might look at when it comes to these individual projects is whether or not they think they're viable to move on and go further in some form or another. That's how they would look at that. But as far as like the finances of the company, as long as the quarter and the filings show that they are making money, it doesn't matter which, like each individual little thing in that system doesn't make the most money. Doesn't matter to them. They don't care. It's like you're at a job and you're getting paid for your work. Some of your work is going to be different than the other work, but your paycheck is going to be the same at the end. That's the way this works with these companies. And we don't know, even if we were to look through and like scour the SEC filings and have access to all of that, it still wouldn't have the individual numbers for each movie that comes out. This is not me making this up. You can look it up. This is public knowledge.
From what?
They didn't.
They did it.
They didn't.
Get the fuck out of here.
They lost several hundred million.
Yeah.
Show your numbers. How do you know this? How do you know? Trust me, bro. How do you know? Do you know how much they made in merchandise from the movies? How much they made in ancillary profits? Any of those things? Toys? Any of that? Do you know any of that specifically? Or are you just saying this because you want to talk shit? I'm going to go with the talk shit thing.
On their movies this year.
Dude, they lost, 200 to 300 million on Captain African America alone.
No, they did not. Also, I've already covered this before. The merchandise, like the toys and stuff, make 3 to 4 times more than the movies make in overall like profit for these companies. So it's similar like Saturday morning cartoons back when we were growing up. if you're old like me, the cartoon's success wasn't always just based on whether or not people were watching the cartoons. It was based on the merchandise that got sold because of the cartoons. And that's how a lot of things operate in Hollywood, is that they come out and they're used as a vehicle to sell merchandise. These guys will never admit that the box office numbers aren't the only metric for success when it comes to Marvel and Disney projects.
And somehow, even though Thunderbolt, there's no way Thunderbolt should have a $180 million budget. But somehow, even with $180 million budget, lost money.
It did not. The ROI on Thunderbolts is in the positive, so it did not lose money, regardless of what these guys want to tell you. Even if you're using the sketchy math that they're using, you can look it up and do the math and get the ROI on Thunderbolts based on sketchy numbers. It still didn't lose money. Stop listening to them tell you this without any proof. Do the numbers yourself. Run the numbers yourself. And if you want to be lazy and be wrong, be lazy and wrong. That's on you.
Fantastic Four lost money.
Yeah.
Did not.
All of them lost money. You can't make a profit when all three lose money. The maths don't add up.
Well, you have to understand math. It's not individual projects. It is the entire quarter. The company looks at their finances in quarters, not on individual projects. So if at the end of the quarter they made money, then they go through and they decide what they want to move forward with and what they don't want to move forward with. It's not about the individual projects, regardless of what these guys try to tell you.
No, they don't. Hey, DC's doing great, guys.
Sure.
Although Superman, James Gunn's first film in the rebooted DCU, grossed less globally than 2013's Man of Steel.
Okay.
And I promise you, every single Snyder fan, including, but not limited to, Mikey Gusler, is counting down the days until Superman is removed from the theater, and that is a final total on the film. And that
what difference does that make? The studio's happy with it, so it doesn't matter. The fact that you guys are excited about the numbers being different when the studio is happy with the numbers is just weird. It's really weird. It's like you have created your own financial lane for these movies. It doesn't exist for the studios.
final total does not, I repeat, does not come out above Man of Steel. David Cornsweat's Last Son of Krypton has blasted past the full breadth of the previous DC. Okay.
Why didn't they say sword?
I'm really upset about that.
Ass blasted.
But they ass blasted past all the fucking flops. But how did Superman perform against the Batman?
Mm-hmm.
On about 160 million less.
160 million less. The Batman was a 3-hour movie with a terrible third act. And it was.
Hey, fun fact: the Batman also beat Man of Steel. Fun fact: if that's what we're doing, we're judging Superman versus Batman based on numbers. The Batman made more than Man of Steel in 2013. So, I mean, does that mean Man of Steel sucked? I mean, this is the math that these guys use in their heads. So, yes, the Batman made more than James Gunn's Superman. It also made more than Man of Steel. So what's the game? What game are we playing here?
Is really still in this pandemic age. And many people, and I would agree with the assessment, by the way, we're saying it underperformed for a Batman film.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Okay.
We said, a Batman
Many
film
people, including us.
What was the number?
We were actually quite surprised it didn't hit
800 million. I mean,
yeah, when you put when you put a Batman movie out, solo Batman movie out, you're kind of looking, are you going to be hitting that billion mark? Are you going to be?
So, fun fact, during the era when the Batman came out, movie theaters saw a decline of attendance. Well, it was around the, I think, 66, 68, 69% mark, right? So 70, we'll say 70%. So they were around 70% of where they should be in terms of attendance, right? Fun fact, what is 70% of a billion? What is that math? 700 million. What did the Batman make? Oh, okay. So even if we're looking at it in terms of like sketchy math, because I can make up and do my own math as well, as you see, even if we're looking at it in terms of sketchy math, the movie performed where it actually should have based on the attendance of movie theaters at that time. But that is too much work for these guys to even think abstractly. It's too much work for them.
Flirting with that billion mark. And so 775, which is about what it did, 775 mil, we were thinking that's probably at least 100 mil less than they wanted.
I noticed they're not bringing up the estimated budget of the Batman, which I believe was around 185, 190 million. They're not bringing that up. They're leaving that out on purpose as well. That's interesting.
You know, I think if it got like 875, then maybe they'd be like, no, that's good. But it still made a little profit, but you don't want your Batman movies making a little profit. You want your Batman movies making a lot more than that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they're just trying to manifest something in the reality because Hollywood needs the DCU to work. I'll tell you why there's a lot of pomp.
Who is they? Who is trying to manifest something in a reality? This is an article written by somebody on Variety staff. It doesn't have any impact on anything. It's not a mandated organization inside Hollywood. It doesn't affect movies at all. It's just an article they decided to put together for fun, using some estimated numbers and a couple of other metrics, including quality and overall, what they believe is overall performance based on other people involved in filmmaking. This doesn't mean anything really. It's just it's almost just an editorial piece. I mean, it could even be classified as an editorial, I guess, if you really wanted to do that.
Palms out as far as Access Media is as much as the Access Media loves to build something up and break it down. There's an article that came out 2 years ago. I covered it where they said, hey, we know the superhero, franchise is basically starting to die out as a driver to the box office, but we still need it to continue because until something better comes along. So the very innovative Hollywood was waiting.
I mean, that's you guys too, right? Let's be clear here. That's you guys too, because what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? You are reading the article about the stuff that you say these Access Media outlets are worried about losing. You're reading the article about the stuff that you say they need to survive. This is what you guys do. This is your business model. So without this stuff, you would no longer exist either. This big plushy, is that the right word? This big comfortable position that you're in would go away overnight if you lost these kinds of fandoms to talk about.
For something better to come along. They weren't even trying to make it happen. They're just waiting for something better to come along. And that article is almost 2 years old now. The something better hasn't come along. So they need the DCU to keep the superhero train going so people will still come to the theaters in their minds in summertime and holidays. And the problem is because it was looked at as this guaranteed profit, which was really a small window if you think about it. But this is indicative of the problem with Hollywood. There is a lot of very, very stupid people in charge of a lot of money. And then there's a lot of...
I mean, based on what? Based on what? What are you talking about? Specifically, who are you talking about and exactly what numbers? And I don't know. Give more detail on this because you're being very nebulous here. There's a lot of stupid people in Hollywood in control of money. Okay. What do you mean by that? That's a nebulous statement.
People with tremendous egos who are willing to burn a company's money, or a company itself with a collective ego is willing to burn their own fucking money rather than look bad. For example, we could talk about, I'm making a video on it for tomorrow, The Witcher. The fact that that's even continuing is a joke. And when you see how much money they're putting into it to save face, it's unbelievable. So real quick, you don't have to pull the article up. They say Jurassic Park is down even. Okay, so somehow they have worked out that DC is on its way up. Jurassic Park is down. So where I can understand that is there's diminishing returns on the 7th dinosaur movie that still beat the brakes, to quote Yellow Flash, beat the brakes off of Superman. I would say they're both down. That would be...
I mean, I don't know, Jurassic Park.
That would be a very dumb statement. But I mean, this is what you do, right? It's dumb. Obviously, Superman has been one of the better projects to come out of DC in a while. And the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie is a lower total box office draw than previous iterations. So why would both of them be down? Why would that? I mean, again, ignoring James Gunn and the studio saying they were happy with Superman. That's where we are.
Like, if you just look at the whole record, a lot of people make the claim that, like, oh, it's dying. And it's like, I mean, it's just that's a life cycle. Yeah. I don't even think it's that shocking. It's done. I think they...
How many times are you going to say it's dying before it's dead? How many times? How many times? We're not going to watch the rest of this video. I'm going to talk specifically to your audience that's watching this video right now. How many times are you going to listen to these guys tell you that something is dying or dead when it is not actually dying or dead? How many times are you going to listen to it? How much more of your life are you going to waste letting these people tell you how to feel about movies and TV shows and entertainment? How much more time? Are you someone that's been watching them for like 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years? You've wasted so much time of your life on this. This is a waste of time. They have absolutely, for lack of a better term, brainwashed you into watching their content and believing that these guys are the end of entertainment. They understand entertainment better than anybody else in the industry, and they know everything that's going on, everything that's happening. No, they're just idiots that stumble into things once in a while. They've been wrong about a lot of stuff. If you look on my channel, you look on any of the channels that talk about the content I talk about in terms of like exposing this stuff, you will know that these guys have been wrong many, many, many times. Stop letting them tell you all of this nonsense so they can sit on camera and just lie over and over and over again and cope and do all these things. You deserve to enjoy life. These guys don't want you to. They want you to be as miserable as they are, and you don't have to be.